Hey everyone, welcome to This Week in Geek. It was supposed to be me and Zach Pope hosting today, but Zach is out with some kind of stomach bug. He sent me a message while I was asleep that he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to wake up on time. I haven't received any message from him. When I saw the message myself, it was his time over there in Arizona to be asleep, so we kind of missed each other through time zones. So while the plan was for us on the first half of this show to discuss a little bit of Elvis, if it joins the list of greatest biopics ever made, and all that, it's not really worth it to do that just me. If Zach eventually wakes up, sends me a message, I'll send him the link to join me and all that, and we'll discuss it. But if it is just me, I don't think it's worth it too much because it'll be just my opinion. I won't be able to bounce off of anyone really. So my suggestion is I'm going to do just my weekly ranking. I'm going to showcase your weekly rankings on the screen with me, and then I'll just move on to your live questions, and we'll have a smaller, more relaxed show again. And thank you for being here, to everyone who is watching right now. So let's get started. And the bottom on my weekly ranking this week is a movie I watched last week, after our show last week. That is HBO Max's original, The Father of the Bride. A background noise kind of movie, very forgettable, as an interesting clash of cultures in the midst, but it's the same generic kind of romantic comedy as Marry Me and as I Want You Back, and the Sunday afternoon movie kind of for the old folks. You put it on and they'll enjoy it or fall asleep watching it. Didn't really like it. I think I think the acting is all fine and all that, but just I could take it or leave it. Immediately as it was over, I forgot it. Over that, but not much, but not by much. Let me just, okay. But not by much is Netflix's latest original. Well, it's on Netflix, but it is a Sony movie, but Sony didn't believe in it, so they sold it to Netflix. And that is The Man from Toronto. Um, the Man from Toronto, starring Woody Harrelson and Kevin Hart, and it's quite bad. The two of them share nice chemistry, but the comedy isn't particularly funny. The action isn't particularly exciting. There is no particularly memorable moment apart from one action sequence, 20 minutes from the end of the film. So by the time this supposedly irredeemable moment comes in, you have already lost any goodwill towards the movie. So it's not very good at all, unfortunately. This is that movie that was supposed to star Jason Statham and Kevin Hart instead of Woody Harrelson and Kevin Hart. And if everything else was the same, I would say that the movie would still be just as bad, though I think in this context, I think Jason Statham might have been able to be funnier than Woody Harrelson. Um, but I don't know. I think an R rating would have really helped. This movie, because then the action would have been able to play a bigger contrast against the supposed comedy of the film. But point is, the movie's not good. I wouldn't recommend it. If you have not seen it, I don't think it's worth it. Over that, a movie I was very much anticipating. It was one of my top 5 most anticipated movies of the summer that we did a few weeks ago. This was like my number 5 or number 4. No, I think it was my number 5, and I bounced it over to number 6, and that is David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. I was very disappointed in this. It's solid, it's okay, but I'm just disappointed that a Cronenberg film only manages to be okay, because it's one of those films that is so fascinating all throughout its runtime, but it tackles its fascinating ideas in a very surface level way. And so you don't really take too much away from it, unfortunately. It's not a movie that you remember for the story it tells, for the themes it tackles, but more a movie that you admire what it is going for and sadly just doesn't reach greatness. Excuse me. Over that, Obi-Wan as a whole, I posted my review of the entire series. It's the longest video I've made in a while, where I kind of just rambled. So obviously it's not doing very well. But I was disappointed in the show as well. I think it's solid. I think it's good. But it should have been much better. It's a show that has two storylines, and that's natural. You have a storyline B, you have a storyline A, or rather, the other way around. You have an A and B storyline, but both of them feel like main storylines. And so they're constantly clashing for time and for focus. And Riva's story kind of belongs in its own show, at least the way they handled Riva's story in this. And so, unfortunately, it doesn't really work because the focus should have been on Obi-Wan. And every time the show focuses on Obi-Wan, it really works. So, yeah. And on my number one, I'm going to have Elvis. This is a really, really good movie. It might even be great once I rewatch it. I'm probably going tomorrow on Monday or Monday. Austin Butler is mesmerizing to watch. He was born for this role. Prepare to see him cast in everything because this dude is a fearsome talent. Tom Hanks, you'd never thought Tom Hanks could play a bad guy believably. Well, this movie will prove you wrong. It certainly proved me wrong. It's lavish, it's joyous, but it's also greedy, and it's intimate, and it's grandiose, and it's every adjective that you can describe Elvis with, you can describe this movie with. It's a superhero mythical tale that spends all these years. It feels mythological, larger than life in its scope, as it's telling the story of this legend. It treats Elvis like this legend, even showcases his faults, his more sad moments as a person through his life, the losses, the tragedies. It's beautiful and it's poignant and it's filled with grandeur. And even if it's not exactly a musical the way we think of, like when we think musical, this is not exactly what we think of, and it's not a paint by numbers biopic either. So I would fully recommend this one. And that was about the best thing I watched this week. And so, yeah, that's my weekly ranking. So let's now go to yours before we move on to your live questions. And we have a weekly ranking from Movie Fan. Let me open this up a little bit. Number one, Elvis. Number two, Cha Cha Real Smooth. Number three, Last Night in Soho rewatch. Number four, Jurassic World Dominion. Number five, Spiderhead. Overall, again, I enjoyed everything I watched this week. Well, that's all that matters. Honestly, out of the things you watched this week, the only one I didn't enjoy per se would be Jurassic World Dominion, but it's a movie I'll watch. I'll watch again. I'll put it on. It's very watchable. It's very fun, but it just feels confused about what it is. What else we have? Weekly ranking. Rhino 2. Number one, The Boys episode 6. I am watching The Boys. I'm not talking about it yet because I didn't have time to put a review together when I got the first 5 episodes in advance. So I'm just going to review the entire series because the final 2 episodes will be sent to me this upcoming week. So number one, The Boys season 6, episode 3. Number 2, Elvis. Number 3, The Black Phone. And number 4, Obi-Wan episode 6. I would, if we're talking about the overall show, even if we're talking about the overall show, I would slightly put it over The Black Phone, but especially episode 6 is one of the better episodes of Obi-Wan. I would put it over The Black Phone. Both are good. I enjoyed all of these things. I watched the Black Phone last week, not this week, but other than that, I enjoyed all the things that you have listed, Ryan. So thank you so much for sharing. And all right, if anyone has any more weekly rankings, feel free to put them in the chat. But as for now, we are going to start with your questions. But I'll address the question at the as the title of the video, that does Elvis join the all-time great biopics? For me, it just misses the mark by this much. My issues with the film, uh, they might subside once I rewatch it. The things that I love about the film might become even bigger. Um, but I think it just misses it, because the issues I have with the film, they're just a little bit grating in comparison to issues that I might have with movies that I do put on that list of all-time great biopics. Um, so yeah, I'm seeing that I skipped some weekly rankings, but I don't see it, guys. So feel free to type them in again. Like, just start your comment with weekly ranking, and then um, type in the things you watched, and rank them. Um, okay, so feel free to type them in again. Just start it off with weekly ranking, and then just list the films. But as for the questions, we're going to start with the Master of Gaming. When do you think SDX Entertainment will release Operation Fortune in theaters? Labor Day weekend is a great time to release. If Top Gun, Maverick, and Elvis proves anything, the older crowd deserves to be entertained and needs escapism more than ever. Um, so remember that Maverick is an exception above anything else. And Elvis, we still don't know the numbers, but obviously older crowd deserves to be entertained. So the thing with Operation Fortune is that the villains in that film, that was supposed to come out, I think, early March or early April this year, and without much fuss, it was silently delayed to who knows when. I know when, or at least I supposedly know when, but and the studio didn't make a press release about it. Guy Ritchie didn't make a press release, but basically it's because the villains in that film are Ukrainians, and at the time in early March or early April, like I said, there was an issue if you were to portray people from Ukraine as villains in a movie. So naturally, you understand why they delayed it. I know for a fact that if I go to Cineworld, which is the cinema chain I go to watch movies, if you go to their site, they still have Operation Fortune listed, and it has a date for Christmas Day. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know if that's just a tentative or a placeholder of a date, but as of right now, as it stands here in the UK, Operation Fortune will be released on Christmas Day, either Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. Actually, let me check. I know it's December, and it's late December. Operation Fortune. Come on. Fortune. And yeah, it's scheduled for December 25th, sorry, 2022. So supposedly, Master of Gaming, that's when they'll release it. I mean, at least as far as the UK is concerned, I don't know what's going to happen anywhere else around the world. So weekly ranking for Tony Movie Chappie: number 5, Obi-Wan Kenobi Finale; number 4, Dear John; and number 3, Transformers: Dark of the Moon; number 2, The Great Gatsby, my favorite Baz Luhrmann film; and number 1, rewatch Belle. Easily is in my top 10 of the year. Belle was a really good movie. I watched it to start off. Yeah, I'm not sure if you meant the Baz Luhrmann Great Gatsby. I'm going to assume you did, I'm going to assume you're like watching Baz Luhrmann films in preparation or in anticipation for Elvis. But Belle, really good movie. I really enjoy that. Watched it to start off LFF last year. It was actually my first film of the festival. So thank you for sharing. Lady Arian, I only watched one thing, and that was Turning Red. It was a pretty good movie with gorgeous animation. I agree, pretty relatable characters, um, especially the main girl, and good songs. I like Turning Red. It's not my top tier Pixar. It certainly isn't my favorite Pixar movie of the year, but it's a good movie. I don't get the vitriol that it got. Dominican Scott. I didn't watch anything, but from a weekly ranking, I watched Life Force on Blu-ray because I just got the Scream Factory 4K and the TV show Kung Fu season 2 finale, and then the Flash season 8. I've been watching the Flash season 8 as well, and I have no idea what's going on. I've given up trying to figure out what is actually going on in that series. Um, just was checking if Zach had sent me a message. All right, moving on with more questions. Master of Gaming, do you have any advice for people like myself who want to interview celebs like Stuart Handler, Christopher Yost, Lisa Foyles, Imogen Poots, David Harbour, and Demetrius Shipp Jr.? I want to ask Chris Pine or Mark Ruffalo what made him interested in movie news flash. I don't think I'm the best person to give any kind of advice in that regard because clearly it's not working very well for me if you judge by my views or by my sub counter. But I'm going to give you a very non-specific answer, and that is create a blog, create a site, create a YouTube channel, start writing for outlets, put your name out there as far as being a film journalist and a film critic is concerned, start making connections, and then just inquire, send emails all the time. Be a pest, be polite, but be a pest. Pay in kind if you do get opportunities. If you get one of these opportunities, I don't know, any big names that you named here. David Harbour. If you do get an opportunity to interview David Harbour, pay in kind, and then when that same studio, for whatever you get that opportunity for, that same studio or same PR has a smaller project in the works and they need publicity for it, give publicity to that film because they got you the chance to interview David Harbour. PRs are not your friends, studios are not your friends, but they will be on the lookout for that. One for you, one for them. That's kind of how it works. Before we move on, Eric Thorpe, weekly ranking. Number 1, Stranger Things, Season 4, Episode 7 and 6. Number 2, The Boys, Episode 6. Number 3, Side Effects. Number 4, The Living Daylights. Number 5, Ms. Marvel, Episode 3. And number 6, Obi-Wan Episode 6. Nothing bad really this week. I would certainly have The Boys Episode 6 at number 1 over Stranger Things. I've never seen The Living Daylights or Side Effects. And then while I certainly prefer the show overall so far, Ms. Marvel to Obi-Wan Kenobi, I will put Episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi ahead of Ms. Marvel Episode 6. But that's it. Thank you for sharing, Eric. And thank you for being here. All right, up next. Master of Gaming again. Do you think Alexandra Daddario is a great actress? I think she's really good. I don't think she has had the opportunity. I don't think she has had the opportunity to truly display her raw chops. She's great in True Detective, not for the raunchy reasons you're thinking at first when I say that, but I think she's really good, and I think she certainly has more talented than she's been allowed to display. But I myself personally couldn't quite say she's great, at least not at this point in time, because I haven't seen it. Master of Gaming. Who's your favorite British actress? Hayley Atwell and Imogen Poots are my favorites. Hayley Atwell is up there for me. You got to go Helen Mirren, Gillian Anderson, Emilia Clarke is wonderful. Best British actresses. I'm sure there are others. Emily Blunt is absolutely wonderful. Emma Thompson, Carey Mulligan, Vanessa Redgrave, Tilda Swinton. I always forget she's British. Of course, Julie Andrews has got to be one you name. Um, Rachel Weisz is fantastic. Rosamund Pike is fantastic. Lena Headey. And yeah, those are just a few of the ones that come to mind. All right. Tyler Van. Hey guys, how are you doing? Doing okay. Tyler, thank you for being here. Enjoyed Elvis, but Rocketman is still my favorite biopic. Rocketman is one I am very much in the minority. I do not care too much for Rocketman. I think it's a very well-made film on a technical standpoint, but I didn't really care for how the story was told. Taron Egerton is wonderful in that film. I do also disagree that he deserved an Oscar nomination, just because all the nominations that got ahead of him into the poll, I wouldn't take any of them out for Taron. I would take any of them out for Ryan Gosling in First Man, but that's another conversation. But yeah, I'm certainly in the minority on that one, but I'm glad Rocketman works for you. Benedict Cumberbatch is not an actress, though. He's an actor. He's wonderful, but not an actress. Joe Fletcher, random question, but who do you think is a better actress, Megan Fox or Jessica Alba? Ooh. So their overall body of work for both of them has never impressed me too much. I will say the best single performance that I've seen out of either of them, rather, was from Megan Fox. So in that sense, I guess I'll have to say, I guess I'll have to say Megan Fox in that regard. Okay. Geek, good friend of the show. Since Kevin Feige announced Marvel Studios will be at San Diego Comic-Con with projects, do you think we'll get more updates about Fantastic Four? I think Fantastic Four, we will probably get a director named. Going back to Comic-Con, especially in a year where you're going to have D23, like 2 months later or 3 months later, a short time later. That means something. That means he's going to bring the big guns. So I certainly expect a director, maybe even a cast reveal for either a director and cast reveal, or a director and date and release date reveal. And maybe even cast on top of that. But at this point in time, I'm going to bet on either one or the other, if not just director. Blade, I certainly expect. I don't expect too much from Blade in the sense that we'll get reveals about who's attached to it. I think we're going to get like the cast that we already know is attached to it, but we'll get the reveals of this person is playing X character, this person is playing Y character, this person, and so on and so forth. She-Hulk, I think we could get a second trailer for She-Hulk because it's just before the show comes out. Deadpool 3, I expect a release date, maybe a synopsis, but that's it. Doctor Strange 3, if we get anything, it'll probably be like an announcement of we're doing Doctor Strange 3, but that's it. I don't expect too much out of that. And if that's really it, I would keep that for D23, because they got to keep stuff for D23. X-Men, I don't, at least at this point in time. Eternals 2, same thing as the X-Men, as Doctor Strange 3. I expect, hey, we are doing Eternals 2, and maybe who's returning or who's the new additions. Shang-Chi 2, same thing. maybe a villain connection, or if an already established hero is also going to be in that film. Much like we brought Black Widow into Captain America the Winter Soldier, for instance. If they're going to bring one of those characters into Shang-Chi 2, I expect an official announcement of, hey, we're doing it. And then if anybody's going to be there, I don't know. And Bruce Banner, the Hulk, is going to be in Shang-Chi 2. Thunderbolts, I think Thunderbolts you keep to Disney Plus, to D23. I don't know why. It's just my gut instinct. But as of right now, that I just feel that's right. I just feel that fits better. Because if you're going to do Fantastic Four, you're going to do Blade, you're going to do She-Hulk, you're going to do Deadpool 3. That's already a lot to just do a Comic-Con. You have to keep some stuff for D23. And then you imagine a D23, you have official announcements for Doctor Strange, for Eternals, for Shang-Chi. You have Thunderbolts, and maybe a little bit of the cast, like not even the cast, like what is the roster? Maybe there's already actors attached to those characters. Maybe it's all new characters, and then announce new TV shows. Announce the second season of Moon Knight. Announce that Moon Knight is going to come back, but as a movie, a second season of Ms. Marvel right after the Marvels, after Kamala's journey in space, a second season of She-Hulk, maybe updates on Captain America 4. We just heard about Wonder Man. Maybe they'll have something for that. So who knows? They're going to have back-to-back bangers, I'm sure. Oh yeah. Geek, hey Ren, remember the Deadpool 3 idea I told you about? I actually still have that on my Word document, but I'll just read it off of here. I know the writers said they're doing a more fish out of water story with him entering the MCU, but here's my pitch with the cast. Picking up where he left off in Deadpool 2, when he was using Cable's time machine and accidentally transports himself to other universes, meeting different versions of himself, who are the members of the Deadpool Corp, and team up to fight an evil version of himself, making fun of the trope in superhero movies. It's like Into the Spider-Verse meets cartoon violence of shoot 'em up. The new cast, along with Reynolds and Marina Baccarin, just to bring her back, Samara Weaving as Lady Deadpool, Walter Scobell or Jacob Tremblay as Kidpool, Mike Myers as Headpool or Zombie Deadpool, Sean William Scott as Evil Deadpool, Robert McElhenney as Weasel, replacing T.J. Miller, and Winona Ryder as Ella Whitney with Stranger Things connection with Sean Levy. I think that could work. As I read this, I see this much more as an animated thing, and it can feel a little bit too similar to Spider-Verse, even though I know you're not pitching it as an animated thing, but I like it. I think it's fun. It's a very Deadpool-ish kind of movie, so this sounds like fun. If that's what they're going to do, I liked it, and I really like the Walter Scobell cast is kind of obvious and on the nose, but it is that because we know it works. We've seen it working, but I really like the Samara Weaving casting, so kudos on that one. Gico AP, after seeing The Black Phone and me rewatching Multiverse of Madness, would you guys be interested to see Scott Derrickson's original version and see if it would have been better than the final product? Interesting. But I don't know, because I love Scott Derrickson as a director. I think The Black Phone works as well as it does because of his direction. You all know how I feel about the original Doctor Strange. I think it's one of the better. I think it's the better Marvel origin story. I think it is better than Multiverse of Madness, but I think the horror that we witness in Multiverse of Madness is very Raimi-ish. I'm not saying Raimi is the only guy who could have done it, but his kind of horror is very different to Scott Derrickson's kind of horror. So I don't know if Derrickson would have actually been the better fit for it. Again, even though I love him, I think he's a better director than Sam Raimi. But for the movie they gave us, because remember, eventually the script would have ended up the same with Derrickson or not. So I think the sensibilities of Raimi with his subgenre rather, of horror were a better fit overall for this script and for what this story wanted to do than Derrickson's um, kind of mind bending, grand visuals of universes collapsing on one another. I think you want to do the best of both worlds with the way they left off Multiverse of Madness. You bring Scott Derrickson back to Doctor Strange 3 um, and lean in a little bit more back to his kind of horror and create this kind of beautiful mix, best of both worlds kind of thing. Um, to quote your buddy Shaw Chandler, what is, in your opinion, are your Taco Bell movies? I hate Taco Bell, so I'm going to call it Chipotle movies for me. But I know what you mean. Um, you might say guilty pleasures, but to you, movies that are dumb as fuck, but no, they are, but no, they are what they are, and you just have fun with it. For me, Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owens and Paul Giamatti, and Wanted with James McAvoy and Angelina Jolie. You got Professor X, Thena, and Star-Lord getting smacked in the face. I actually give Wanted more credit, a little bit more credit than that, even though I don't think it's great. Godzilla vs. Kong is one of them for me. Fast and Furious when they became good. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It still is still good. So I'll still describe 8 as that. What else? More Taco Bell movies or Chipotle movies. That's a good question. Off the top of my head, those are the only ones that are coming to mind. I'm looking around at my stuff to see if I remember anything else. Ghost Rider. You guys know I like Ghost Rider more than most people. The original, the 2007 one, not the sequel. But I like it, but it is very much kind of Taco Bell movie. And yeah, those are just a few of the ones that come to mind. But if you have any more suggestions, everyone watching, please type them in. Excuse me, type them into the chat below, and I'm just going to have a quick drink of water. All right. Um, do you guys think I'm the finale of Ms. Marvel that she'll be in big in power? She'll get her in big in powers from the comics. I watched the new Rockstars where the directors kind of hint that the hard light is not the final form of her powers. Um, I've never seen The Legend of Dewey Cox, so I did not mention that. Hazy Hay, but thank you for being here. It's been a while since I've seen you, man. Um, hard light is not the final form of her powers. Maybe their way of adapting the origin using the Terrigen mists and without using the Terrigen mist and cocoon. I did not see that interview, but that sounds interesting. And you do see her powers so far, at least, come the halfway point of the show, that her powers take several different forms. They don't seem to be quite well defined yet, like what she can do, what she can use it for, and the way she can stretch herself with the hard light. You've also seen that the fists that she makes, the hands that she makes, they're bigger than she is. So I think she can certainly create this kind of hard light armor around her with the hard light, and that'll be the version of the embiggening powers that she has from the comics. But that's interesting. I gotta go check that out, that interview. Um, how would you guys rank the phases of the MCU so far? Ooh, let me MCU phases. No. What are MCU phases? Yeah, but this is not going to show me what the phases are, I think. Anyway, so phase 1 from Iron Man to the Avengers, phase 2 from Iron Man 3 to Ant-Man? No, not to Ant-Man. Civil War came after. What came after? Doctor Strange came after Civil War. Wait, what is this? Okay, hang on, I got it. So phase one is I'm not going to rank phase four because it's not over. So Iron Man to the Avengers, Iron Man 3 to Ant Man. Okay, so I was on the right track, but for some reason I mixed Civil War in there. And then phase three from Civil War to Spider Man Far From Home. Um, and then and then phase four starts with Black Widow. Yeah, phase four starts with Black Widow. Huh. Um, Okay, so I'm not going to rank Phase Four because it is still going. Supposedly, it's going to end with Fantastic Four as of right now, but She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight, they're not even listed. Um, so I'm not going to rank Phase Four, but it's shaping up to be a contender. Really, all of them really good phases, if I'm totally honest. But I am going to go with phase three at number one, phase one at number two, and then finally in last place, phase two. Um, Nothing wrong with phase two. I mean, it has Iron Man 3, it has Thor the Dark World, but it also has Guardians, which a lot of people love. I'm not the biggest fan of Guardians, but there's nothing particularly wrong with Guardians. Really good movie. Um, it has Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and Ant-Man. But most of those rely on the middle to bottom tier of MCU movies for me. Though when I say that, you guys know how much I love the MCU. So when I say that, it's not really that they're bad movies. Just I prefer others, so therefore I prefer other phases overall. What's next? How do you rank the film? What are films you feel you had all the right elements there, but just didn't execute it well? Captain Marvel to me comes to mind. You can keep the themes of gaslighting, but instead of being Marvel's born identity, it's like their own version of RoboCop. Start from the beginning, showing her backstory from when she was a kid, and not tell us set up Carol's character and show her flaws, that she's rebellious, compassionate, hot-headed. Then she goes on her test flight, then presented that theme by developing the relationship between her and Jude Law, with her trying to win his approval and apologize until she realizes she was they brainwashed her. He brainwashed her, making it much more effective and make it seem like she went through an arc as she outgrows him and get her memory back, giving the movie more depth. Good question. Movies that had the right ingredients but didn't quite work out. I wouldn't say it didn't quite work out, but it's not even not having the right ingredients. It just had undercooked ingredients. For me, one of those again, it's not really that it didn't work out because I like the movie, but Turning Red is one. Um, Crimes of the Future certainly is one. Spiderhead is one, and so far I'm naming all of these. These are all solid. I like these movies. Or Spiderhead, I like enough. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? Duel with Karen Gillan and Aaron Paul. That's one that you have the right ingredients. Just go more in depth on this idea. Go more creative on this idea. It's so surface level. Um, and that's about it, at least in recent memory. I'm not remembering like other things off the top of my head. Elite, I didn't even think that had the right ingredients to begin with, so I can't even defend that one in that sense. All right, let's continue with Jacoby P. Who are some guests that you guys would love to get on the podcast but you know will never happen? I can see the Real Rejects or Corey Jandrew being great guests. Real Rejects are fun. I'd love to have them on. Robert Meyer Burnett. Um, Christian Harloff. Ellis doesn't do YouTube stuff anymore. We've had Sean before, but I'd love to have him again. We've had Griffin before, but I'd love to have him again. Austin Burke. We've tried to work sometimes, but he's a busy man. Who else? Chris from 3C. Would love to have him again. Dave Lee Down Under. I mean, I hang out. virtually at least. I hang out virtually with Dave all the time. We exchange messages all the time. We've met because he was stopping by London at one point recently, but I've never had him on the show. He's here in the UK. He's in Cambridge, which is same time zone. He's going back to Australia at any point, but I just feel bad in asking him to be on a podcast on a Saturday afternoon. I don't know how willing he'd be for that because he's here spending a good time with his girlfriend and all that. So those are a few of the ones that I love to have on the show. But yeah, Real Rejects is a fun bunch. Chris Stockman, obviously, that's the holy grail, I guess, of guests, because that's the guy, in great part due to him, that this channel even exists. So Austin Putnam has been on the show. I mean, he hasn't been on This Week in Geek, but he was on Geeks of the Roundtable back in the day. Was in 2020. I think it was in 2020, because I was still back in Portugal, and that's when I spent a stretch of the summer there. So yeah, he has been on he's been on the show twice, because we had him with another guest, and then we had him solo like the week after or 2 weeks after. So yeah. Lady Erin, do you guys do any impressions of any character whether it be from a video game, TV show, or movie? And if so, can you do some of those impressions for us? I'm not going to do any impressions, but I do a Schwarzenegger, I do a Yoda. I can do certain phrases as Obi-Wan. I can do the Peter Griffin laugh. I can't say anything and sound like Peter Griffin, but I can laugh and sound like Peter Griffin. Severus Snape from Harry Potter. And that's it, really. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me just reorder this again. Gico EP. What do you think of the whole situation of Craven the Hunter being an animal lover, said by Aaron Taylor Johnson? I think it's once again Sony Sony showing that they do not understand their characters. Like, that goes entirely against the point. This guy is as anti-PETA as you can be. So my hope continues to dwindle for this movie, despite its insanely talented cast. So yeah. I'm trying to open a comment, but I guess it's not opening any further. Lady Erin, so since we're about halfway through 2022 already, what are some of your favorite performances from an actor and actress so far this year, and some of the worst performances from an actor and actress so far this year? I don't keep the worst in mind. Regarding best performances from an actress, it's I would have Nicole Kidman as best supporting, and probably Michelle Yeoh as best lead actress. For actor, I don't really know who I'll have for best supporting, but for best lead, I have a two-way tie. Like, I wouldn't mind if it either went to Alexander Skarsgård for The Northman, or Austin Butler for Elvis. Emma Thompson in Good Luck Leo Grand is sensational. She's fearless. I would certainly nominate Tom Cruise for best lead. I just think the other two outshine him a tad bit. Elizabeth Olsen certainly deserves a nod for her work in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. And that's it. So far, I think those are the only performances that I'd say have a raise a worthy argument in regards to whether they deserve the nomination or not. I don't get the AMC ad over here, so while I do know what the ad is, while I've heard all the videos talking about it, I do not get it. So good joke, but naturally wouldn't come to my mind. Uh, duh, 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 duh. Can we all just congratulate Lady Aaron? Can we all just congratulate Zach on the fact that he got engaged over the week? Congrats to you, Zach. We're all incredibly happy for you, and we wish you nothing but happiness for you and your fiance. Yes, it's a secret I've had to keep for a while now. In fact, I said last week. Last week I mentioned that this week we'd have some big news for Zach, and that's what I was referring to. So congratulations to Zach. Hope he feels well whenever he wakes up and comes back um, online and maybe sees this. But yeah, Zach finally popped the question. I've known about this for a while. So yeah. Lady Aaron, does Austin Butler actually sing the songs that are in the movie just like with Taron Egerton in Rocketman, or does he actually not sing the songs in the movie and just dub like Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody? No, he sings the songs. There are certain songs that they will have Elvis singing, but usually when you have the scenes on stage with the shows and all that, you will have Austin Butler actually sings it. Whenever you go into montages and all that, and Elvis is doing something else in the actual movie other than sing, that's usually when it's a track from Elvis himself. But if you have a scene on stage with Austin Butler performing like the guitar playing and all that, playing Elvis on screen, that's actually him singing, which is very, very impressive. If you guys are comfortable talking about this, what are some of the best moments you guys had in school and some of the worst moments you had in school? I don't have one of either. School was just very uninteresting. It was very mundane. There's nothing much to talk about. I didn't really care for anything during school. High school sucked. High school always sucks. High school is fucking awful. So yeah, there wasn't much to talk about. The best thing I can say about high school was that one in high school in 10th, 11th, and 12th, because that's high school for us back in Portugal. So on the last day before summer vacation, we'd never have classes in the afternoon. So you'd come to Friday and you knew you were only going to have classes in the morning. And one of the girls in my class, she had a place very near the beach. So it became a tradition for like those 3 years. As we got to the last day of school, we knew we'd get lunch, go to a supermarket, get pizzas and chips and meats for barbecue and all that, and just go to her place near the beach. All of us had lunch, like 15 of us have lunch and all that, and then go to the beach in the afternoon into the night. So yeah, those are some. That's like the one memorable thing from high school before college, before university. That's the one thing for me. But in general, high school sucks. Next, hang on. Okay. What do you guys, Lady Aaron, what do you guys think about the new and disturbing Ezra Miller things we heard over this week? Nothing good to say about that, sadly. Do you think they should just redo the whole Flash movie or over at this point to get rid of Ezra Miller, or will they keep this version and recast Flash for future movie roles? So they've already announced that they're not bringing Ezra back after this movie. Whether they recast, whether they just take the character of the Flash completely out of the movies, who knows? But they've a press release officially came out that they're not working with Ezra anymore after this. Do I think they should just redo the whole Flash movie over? I do, because it's the lesser of two evils. But that being said, it would be way too much money that they lose in that endeavor. This movie is already so expensive to reshoot it again would make it all the more expensive. It would be another Solo, a Star Wars story situation, but on a whole nother level, like unbelievably expensive. And who knows, even if they don't do that, even if they don't reshoot or anything, they're already going to lose so much money with this film. It is absolutely insane. So yeah, I think that we talked about this a few weeks ago, but I think they're all out of good options, and this guy Ezra is just making it all the worst for them. And they painted themselves into a corner. They kept silent and kept silent and kept silent, and everything that comes out about this only gets more disturbing. Um, so I don't feel sorry for Ezra, but I also don't feel sorry for Warner Brothers. They made their bed, now they have to lay in it. And I look to the side because my bed is over there. Um, Lady Aaron, also with Elvis being the new music biopic that came out, where does Elvis rank amongst the music biopics that you've seen? Would it be one of the best or one of the worst? It would be one of the best, but I certainly don't remember off the top of my head every single music biopic there ever was. I certainly don't think I've ever seen. I've seen every musical biopic there ever is or ever was. Um, Respect was not very good. The Dirt was not very good. Electrical Life of Louis Wayne is not a musical. Blinded by the Light is quite good, but I'd rank Elvis above that. I certainly wouldn't rank Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as a musical or The Green Book. Bohemian Rhapsody, I really love Bohemian Rhapsody. I know it's become kind of cool to hate musical biopics. I know it's become kind of cool to hate Bohemian Rhapsody, but I love that movie. Um, I would rank Straight Outta Compton is really good. I would rank Elvis over that. Get On Up is really good. I think I would rank Elvis over that as well. Um, I never got around to watch Stardust, but I heard it's quite bad. Um, Control is quite good. Saving Mr. Banks is amazing, but it's not a musical. So yeah, a lot of things are coming up, and a lot of them are not musicals. So I apologize for that. For instance, I have never seen The Doors, the biopic. So that's another one I can't count. But yeah, Elvis would, at least off the top of my head, um, rank very high. I would rank it very high. Honor of Elvis. Okay. Again, Lady Aaron, again in honor of Elvis, coming out this week. What is your favorite Elvis Presley song? For me, it's Can't Help But Falling in Love. What is your, also Lady Aaron, what is your favorite song from the Top Gun Maverick soundtrack? If you have one that is, I don't. I mean, from the Maverick soundtrack, yeah, I don't have one. I listen much more to the score rather than the soundtrack. I mean, there's only two songs in the soundtrack itself. It's the Lady Gaga song and the One Republic song. I much prefer the Lady Gaga song because I don't really care for Bad Republic. One Republic. So yeah, don't have a favorite. Lady Aaron, what do you think of the on-set pictures that we got of Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie, Ren's Goddess, from the Barbie movie this week? They look good. I don't put too much stock into set pictures, whether for good or for bad. But they look good. They look like Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie playing these characters. I think that movie is going to be a whole lot of fun. Also, Aaron, what are some of the best summer blockbuster movies of all time and some of the worst summer blockbuster movies of all time, in your opinion, and why? Again, don't keep the worst in my mind, but actually, Independence Day Resurgence is one of the worst I've ever seen. Basically, put in all the MCU movies as some of the best blockbusters. I mean, what else has come out in summer? Best blockbusters. I mean, because I'm going to search for blockbusters, best summer blockbusters. But I don't remember if any of these came out in summer off the top of my head. Best summer blockbusters. Jaws, Star Wars, E.T., Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Jurassic Park, Spider-Man, the original, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Parenthood is a blockbuster? I don't know about that one. Star Trek Into Darkness. I know it's cool to hit on that one, but I really like that movie. Minority Report is really good. War Games is on this list, but I've never seen it. What else? What else? What else? Speed is sensational. The How to Train Your Dragon movies. Well, the last one came out in January, but the first two came out in January or February. Dark Knight Trilogy was summer. Good shout, Eric Thorpe. Most of the Fast and Furious movies, once they became good, they're exactly what you want from a summer blockbuster. Top Gun Maverick is one of the best ever. So yeah, those are just a few of the ones. Lady Aaron, what are some of the best movie villains of all time and some of the worst movie villains of all time in your opinion, and why? Again, these things you need to have a list. I can't just think of a lot of names off the top of my head. One of the worst has got to be Enchantress from the original Suicide Squad. Best, I mean, the greatest villain of all time is Darth Vader. Then you got Hans Gruber, you got Simon Gruber, Thanos, Loki, Scar, Frollo, Hades. Treasure Planet doesn't really have a main villain. It has an antagonist, but gets his redemption. Mr. Scroop is cool, but he's a supporting villain, not like one of the best. Maleficent, Joker from The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's Joker. So yeah, those are some of the best. Also, Lady Aaron. Let me just see. Okay, we're about to hit the 1 hour, so we can finish off in due time. Lady Aaron, how are you feeling, Ren? No, how are you feeling? And now you're feeling much better now. It's good to see the reviews again, as I miss those so much. And just know that we all love you so much, Ren. Well, thank you very much. I'm doing better. And at this point, I guess I just can let the channel be stopped. And I just have to keep it going. But thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much for all the kind words that everyone sent when I put the original post that I was going to take a break for a little bit. Thank you for being here whenever Zach was hosting, whenever Patrick was hosting. Kylo Ren is another good one. Thank you for the shout, Lady Aaron. That is probably the one I relate to the most in the realm of Star Wars. But yeah, thank you so much for the messages, for checking in, and yeah, I'm doing better. And hopefully I don't need to pause anytime soon. Again, Nathan Holton, thoughts on Lyle Lyle Crocodile, Barbarian, and Smile trailers. Lyle Lyle Crocodile is stupid. It's absolutely idiotic. And then to have Shawn Mendes as the voice of the crocodile. Not just, I mean, you can have him sing the songs. Nothing wrong with that. The guy can sing, clearly. But to have him, like, voice the crocodile, and you will notice that in the trailer, they never show him speaking outside of singing. So that should tell you something about Mendes's acting ability. Oh, the T-800 in the original Terminator and the T-1000 in T2. Good shout, the Viva Drew. So Lal Crocodile, goose egg of a trailer. Barbarian, I watched it like 2 hours ago. Interesting, but I wish I got a clue as to what is actually going on. Like, it's the typical, this is not what you think, but that's really all I got in the trailer. I'm going to see it. I have hope for it. I think Georgina Campbell is a wonderful actress. Very underrated. I first saw her in the show Krypton on Sci-Fi. It lasted for 2 seasons. It was one of the shows that I watched like, this is not going to be good. It's actually one of the best live-action DC TV shows to ever be brought, to ever exist. So if you've never seen Krypton, my guess is it's on HBO Max. So if you're from America or anywhere else around the world that has HBO Max, watch Krypton. It's actually a really good show. Um, and Smile, I'm unsure of. It's one of those ideas. The trailer made me feel like this is either going to be actually really good, surprisingly, or it's just going to be very dumb. Because it's this close to looking and feeling like Truth or Dare. Just depends on the direction they go. There are creepy moments, but the overall thing is like it could go either one way or another. Like it's not going to be there's not going to be an in between. It's going to be extremely awful or actually quite good. Um, so yeah, the best trailer I would say it's Barbarians because it's the most intriguing. You're like, what is actually going? I want to see more. Um, the other two not so much, but I certainly say Barbarian is the best trailer. Smile at number two, and then Lyle Crocodile um, at number three. Nathan Holton, thoughts on Marvel going to Comic Con and what do you think will be announced? Well, I talked about it a little bit when Geek kind of asked the same question. But basically, thoughts on Marvel going to Comic Con? I think they're going for a reason. Like, again, especially having D23 such a short time later, if they decide, because they don't need Comic Con, really. But if they are going to Comic Con, they gotta have something up their sleeve. So just the fact that they're going should leave all of us very excited. Nathan Holton, do you think Austin Butler and Tom Hanks will be nominated for an Oscar? As of right now, absolutely. I think there's something wrong with the world in case there's something wrong with the world if they don't get the nomination because they're both incredible. Thoughts on the good reviews for Thor: Love and Thunder? Haven't seen them. I haven't seen the film myself, so I'm not going to see any reviews until I see the film myself. You guys know how I work. I don't want to see anything about any movie that I'm anticipating until I actually see it for myself. And hopefully I should be watching it soon. Nathan Holton, what are your favorite horror films and animated films? Again, it's one of those list questions. Off the top of my head, my top 3 favorite horror movies of all time are The Exorcist, The Witch, and The Thing. Animated films, The Lion King, Treasure Planet, Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan, Hercules, Big Hero 6, Princess Mononoke, Your Name, Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. Wall-E, it's one of the greatest animated films of all time. It's one of the greatest science fiction films of all time. So yeah, those are just a few off the top of my head. Nathan Holton, will you be watching Minions 2? I will. I don't think I'm going to be reviewing it, but I will be watching it, yes. Eric Thorpe, thoughts on the news that Kit Harington is the one that got this Jon Snow sequel going, and also George confirmed he will be part of it, like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. I'm somewhat surprised that Kit is the one that got this going, but still on the fence about the show itself. Just curious as to what led him to have this idea, as to what the idea actually is. Now, I'm more curious than I was before. I'm still hesitant about doing the show itself. Honestly, George being involved neither gets me more excited or less excited. It's like, okay, like it's adjacent to the property he's created. So I'm glad he's somewhat involved because he seems to be involved in everything apart from actually writing the book. So, and let me just refresh one more time because we're in the last 2 questions. Okay. Eric Thorpe, with how long it took for No Time to Die to come out, even without the COVID delays, how long do you think it will be before the next Bond film, which really has its work cut out for it, having to likely be a reboot and on a grander scale than the franchise has ever needed to be before, even more than Casino Royale? Honestly, I don't think the fact that it is a total reboot, even more so than what Casino Royale was, I don't think that will affect it. Honestly, when do I think it will come out? How long do I think it will come out? Either way, like at this point, at least at this point, like today, Saturday, the 25th of June, 2022, tomorrow, who knows? I think at this point we can not worry too much about COVID in terms of how it can delay a film, at least on an aggressive scale. Like if it delays a film for a week, that's not too bad. Um, like on a grand scale, like delay it for months and months. I don't think we see the next Bond before 2027, 2026 if we're being optimistic. But I don't think 2027 is the earliest we'll see the next Bond movie. All right, and final question from Tony Movie Chappie. And let me just refresh it again. Ren, why do you think Lightyear wasn't a huge success at the box office for opening weekend? Do you think it had to do with the lesbian controversy or just poor marketing? Well, I certainly think there is a fraction of the audience, of the bigoted audience, that didn't go, because because well, I'm sure there is. Let me start over. I got lost in my thoughts. So there is a small fraction of a bigoted audience that certainly didn't go because they heard that was a lesbian kiss. Fuck them. Um, but I think the overall thing was that they got an audience accustomed to having these movies on streaming, and that's really sad. Not only because this is one of the best movies they've put out since they had to go to streaming. Like, obviously, it's not better than Soul, but I would put Lightyear above both Luca and Turning Red. And am I missing? Am I missing anything else? No, 2020 was Onward and Soul, and then 2021 was just Luca, and then this year was Turning Red. So yeah, I'd put Lightyear like right behind Soul in regards to the movies they've sent out since the pandemic began, and they got an audience really accustomed to just having Pixar at their leisure at no extra cost on Disney Plus, on streaming. So now they have to win that audience back and saying, come watch Pixar movies in theaters. It's worth it. This one, above any of the others, certainly is, because this is an epic sci-fi adventure that just so happens to also be a Pixar movie. I don't think it had poor marketing, but I also wasn't really looking at the marketing in the sense of are they telling people this is in theaters, you know? And so now they have to win that audience back, which is a shame. Like one of the topics that I was debating in my own head, making today's main topic, was if we should discuss what I don't want to call it flop yet. It's not exactly flopping. It's just underperform. Hell, it's not at all flopping. It's just underperforming, very sadly so. So one of the topics I was debating in my head, making today's main topic, was yes, but Raya and the Last Dragon and Encanto are not Pixar movies. They're Disney movies. I was just saying the Pixar movies. One of the topics I was debating in my head, making today's topic, was if the underperformance of Lightyear at the box office may doom the future of Pixar going theatrical. It's a big fear I have right now because I want to watch Pixar movies in the theater, and the fact that we got a really, really good one now that deserves to be seen in the biggest screen possible and is doing so little, it's a real shame because it's a Pixar movie. I know Pixar movies are not the biggest blockbusters, but speaking of summer blockbusters, they always do really well. And this one just isn't, because they've made an audience, a big chunk of the audience, parents, and even adults like me who just like to go see these movies, who have no prejudice against animation, thankfully, They got a lot of the audience accustomed to just being at home and having a new Pixar movie present in their streaming service from the comfort of their couch. So now I don't know how you work it to win that back, but hopefully whatever they do really works. So yeah, I'm going to check one last time if there are any further questions. And there are not. So that is it for this week's This Week in Geek. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Apologies for Zach not being here. It was very last minute. It was a very last minute thing. When he messaged me about maybe he won't be able to make it to the show, I was asleep. So when I wake up and saw his message, he was asleep by that point. So we just missed each other. I couldn't get a co-host, but I didn't, and I wasn't too comfortable in doing the show solo, if I'm completely honest with you, which I always want to be, but I also didn't want to leave you guys hanging at the last minute. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. If you want to support me and the channel anymore, please take a look at the videos that were put up this week. There's an Elvis review, there's a Ms. Marvel review, there's an Obi-Wan review. Obi-Wan is a kind of long one, so get some popcorn and then watch it. Paramount Plus also launched this week, so there's a review for the first 3 episodes of Halo. So in case you want to watch that, no spoilers for that one. And the review for Black Phone is also up, as well as Lightyear. I put a review for that one up last week after we did our show. Hopefully next week, Zach and I will be back, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for the support. And go check those videos out if you want to support any more. Thank you so much for watching. Big thank you to the channel members of the channel, Film Bruna, Nate Ankenbauer, and MSB. There's a link down there in the description in case you want to become a member. And thank you so much once more. And until the next one, love each other and love the movies.